I have this huge amount of scrap fabrics that I've been hoarding for I don't even know how long. Today, I'm going to start using them. So I've been watching a ton of videos about making patchwork dresses and just creating things out of old scrap fabrics, and I am very obsessed, and I've also been looking at them a lot on Pinterest. So tonight I am going to start making a patchwork dress. These are my inspiration pictures, and I don't really have a plan. I just decided to do this like 10 minutes ago, so we'll see what happens. I'm very excited though. I started off by going through the entire bin of fabric and deciding which ones I wanted to use. I wanted to make sure that I mostly just use like regular cotton fabric, so it'd all be a similar weight and that it would gather down nicely for all the tiers that I was going to use. And I also wanted to have decent colors too. There's not even a dent, even though I just took out this much fabric. I also spent quite a bit of time sorting the fabric into piles by color. And after I'd done that, I decided that I wanted just a little bit more of certain colors, so I used some fabric that was in my stash and just cut off strips of it. So I think I have what should hopefully be enough for a dress. If not, I'll just find more fabric. I think I'm going to start figuring out the bodice now. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to go about that. I ended up deciding to use the bodice piece from this little jumper pattern, and basically what I did is I just cut out different pieces of fabric and started piecing them together until I had a big enough chunk of patchwork to fit the bodice pattern piece on. And I really enjoyed this process way more than I thought it would. Even though it's kind of tedious, I really liked finding pieces of fabric and like matching up the colors and making it look pretty, and I was listening to my audiobook and it just was a very nice time. And then I started sewing all those little pieces together. And once my patchwork piece was big enough, I cut my bodice out of it. Alrighty, so it is the next day, which is why I look like a pajama slug, but I finished both of the bodice pieces last night and they look really good, and I've really enjoyed this whole process. It's been, well, last night I just like zoned out for 2.5 hours and just did this while listening to my audiobook, and it was like really relaxing and enjoyable, and I just love like fitting all the pieces together, and if it's too small just add another piece. And it's been really enjoyable just seeing different scraps from different projects coming together. Like for example, this big yellow piece is a like cut off from when I took shirts, like Paul's shirts, and made them into short sleeves because they were like 3/4 sleeves, and hemmed them. And so now I have a little piece of Paul on this shirt. And not only that, like this is from my Hobbit bodice. This is from a lot of the bags that I made for the craft show. This is from the quilt that I have yet to finish. And this is from my stays that I made. And strawberries from a dress I will soon make. And yeah, so this has just been very enjoyable, and I really like this process. It's just been very chill. Just me all by myself in my sewing room. My very dark sewing room. It's only like 6:30 and it's pitch black outside. So yeah, I'm just gonna sew these together, like baste them together at the shoulder seams and the side seams, just because I want to see how it fits. And then I'm going to just trace these and cut out a lining so I don't have to worry about all these raw edges on the inside. Yeah, I'm gonna do that, and then I will maybe start on the sleeves or the skirt. I'll have to decide what I want to do, but I might start on the skirt. Anyway, I will leave that for future me to decide, but I'm going to make this so I can try it on. While I was trying it on, I ended up deciding to add two little pleats at the bust just so it kind of cinch it in just a tiny little bit, and then I sewed those down before I started working on the lining. I also did some understitching on the neckline of the bodice, which is when you go to the inside and then you press the seams towards the lining and then do like another little stitch line. And this just creates a very nice crisp neckline, and you can do this in other places too, but it just kind of holds the lining back, so when you're finished it just looks nice and crispy. And the next day I had a whole sewing day with Lily, where I finished the lining for the bodice and started working on the first layer of the skirt.
Can I ruin your aesthetic video?
Go ahead.
Just thinking about how Guy Fieri signs his name. It says Guy Fieri, and then he says peace, love, and taco grease.
Peace, love, and taco grease?
Yeah.
That is pretty magnificent.
Yeah.
Hello. So it's been a while since I've spoken to the camera, but here's what I have so far, and I'm very excited about it. So most of this, I didn't really film a ton of me putting the skirt together since I was working on it with Lily, and then yeah, it's just like a very simple process of cutting out the squares, putting them all together, and then gathering it down. And this layer took me, I time-lapsed it. The second layer took me 40 minutes just to gather it all down. So there's a ton of fabric. The only thing that stinks is I haven't really been finishing any of the edges. So I am planning on doing a skirt lining, I think. So that should hopefully be fine. Yeah, so for the rest of the skirt, what I'm planning on doing is I want to have one more layer that's gathered, and then the rest of the layers will just be the same width as that final gathered layer. The plan is, instead of just gathering or adding on each layer individually, what I'm going to do is get my next layer, figure out exactly how long I want it to be, how wide I want it to gather it onto this. Instead of sewing that immediately, I'm just going to keep on adding all of the layers and sewing those together. And then once that's all sewn together, I'll gather all of that down to this. So that way I'll know that they're all even and I won't have to measure exactly. I can just kind of eyeball it. So I'm basically just gonna make like a mini quilt and then sew it into a tube and then gather it to this. And I'll just kind of have to eyeball the length roughly, which I'm not too worried about. And yeah, so I have, the other day, I cut out a bunch of long strips and I measured this out roughly just like using the length of my dining room table. This is probably like, I think 36 feet of fabric. I do need to go downstairs and iron this because it's kind of wrinkly. So I'm gonna go do that and then I'm gonna start sewing this all together. So the other day, sewing at Lily's house, and I managed to do, let me find the end. This is the final layer of the skirt, which I did all of them together. And this is how long it is. Oh, you think it's done? No, it's still going. Still going. And there's the other end. So I have to gather all of that down to this, which is gonna take a million years. I have like about an hour that I'm probably gonna sew tonight, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get it all together down in that hour, but that's what I'm gonna do right now, and we'll see how it goes. But I'm very pleased with how this project is going. It's going really well. And Lily gave me some of her scraps, so I have some different colors, like this purple, which I really like. And yeah, I do really, this project is taking way longer than I thought it would, but I have been enjoying it, and it's been very nice to do. I don't really know what else I was gonna say, but yeah, I'm gonna sew the ends of this together and spend about 8 years gathering it all down. So the skirt is finally done. And wow, is this a lot of fabric. So I put it on and it's kind of long. It's a lot longer than I was expecting it to be. And I think I might remove the last row because yeah, that'll be about more the length I want it to be. I want it to be like mid-calf length. Which kind of stinks because like I put all the work to adding it on and I don't really want it on there. I think it's too long and I want it to be like frolicky length, and this just is like a little too homeschool looking. Which maybe that will change when I add the sleeves, so maybe I'll leave the length until I add the sleeves. But I think I might remove it because it's just a little too long for my liking. And yeah, it'll be a little shorter when I hem it, but I guess I'll decide once I do the sleeves. But look at how swirly and swooshy it is. And it's just cute. Yeah, it's really cute. Anyway, I'm gonna be done for the day. Yeah, that's it. I'll probably work on the sleeves tomorrow. For the sleeves, I decided I wanted them to be made entirely out of little squares, so I just cut out my pieces of fabric and started laying them out just like I did for the bodice until I had a big enough piece of patchwork fabric to fit my sleeve pattern.
my frumpy marshmallow. I look like a Michelin man. No.
Okay, so here's one sleeve done. And I just did like ye old basic lining, right sides together, sew around, flip it around. And then I did like a little top stitch on the bottom. Yeah, poofy. Now I'm going to line the other sleeve and then I can start attaching them. For the bottom of the sleeve, I made little fabric casings to gather the sleeve down into, and I made this just like bias tape, except it wasn't actually cut on the bias. And after gathering the sleeve down, I just sewed on the little casing using a top stitch.
Cowboy. Do a turn. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Poof. Mm-hmm. Poof. Cute.
So the dress is finally almost finished. I added on the sleeves, which look really, really nice. And I really like this little like mini cuff or just like the bias tape at the end of the sleeves. And I shortened it by, I can't remember if I explained this or not, by just making this into like a hem facing, which I really, really like a lot. I think it looks really nice. And I just like top stitched it, which you can sort of barely see. So now it's like the perfect length. And all I have left to do is, first thing I'm gonna do is I have this lovely strawberry pocket that Lily made for me, which I'm just going to line and then slap on like right here. And then I'm also going to do the lining for the skirt because I have an unfortunate amount of unfinished seams on the inside, as you can see. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take a random piece of white fabric I have and make like a half circle skirt out of it and attach it here. And so that'll hopefully protect the raw edges a little better rather than just nothing. Also, some of the fabrics are a little see-through because I was planning on doing the lining anyway. So I'm gonna do the pocket and then I'll do the lining and I'll be completely done in like the next couple hours, hopefully, less than that. Okay, here I go. Pocky, done. Look how cute. And large too, it's a very nice pocket. Ta-da. It's done. So ta-da, here she is. I'm just so happy with how this whole thing turned out. And it just looks so good and I really enjoyed this project very, very much. So yes, thank you for watching and yeah, I'm very happy with how it came out.